Okay, so let's continue with introductions. Rasheed, can you please just introduce yourself and tell them about your business, a little bit about your business?
Okay, got you. My name is Rasheed Smallwood, and I am the owner of Highly Hated Clothing. And I started it about 2019, and it's just basically about nothing but positivity. The name might sound like it's not, but it really is about overcoming things in life. And that's pretty much a little bit about it.
Nice, nice. Thank you, Rasheed. Thank you, Rasheed. Okay, Soka, we have Soka on also. Can we have Soka come on and tell us a little bit about your business?
Hi, folks. My name is Soka, aka Vanna's brother. If you didn't know, now you know. I started a stationery business called Hourglass Industries. We use a social impact model where we actually employ uh, creatives overseas to work on stationery, and we sell it here in the U.S. market.
Nice, nice, nice. Thank you, thank you. Okay, looks like Rasheed, you looks like you're pretty popular, so we already have a question for you. What motivated you to start Highly Hated?
What motivated me to start it was me, myself. I've been through a lot in life, and a lot of people would think you wouldn't overcome some of the things that I've encountered. But I made it through that, and it's just like another bump in the road. But I looked at it as another way to get the community involved. And, like when you're playing a sport, you do something on the basketball court, you score. The other team doesn't really like that. You know what I mean? So I took it as you can make this into a positive meaning. And like I said, it speaks for itself. When people see it, they read the words on my hoodie and they say, "Why are you highly hated?" So it drew their attention. Now, if I would have chose something different, like highly loved or favored, you probably wouldn't even have cared about it. You know what I mean? So what motivated me was it brought the community together, and anything I do is usually for my community. Did that answer the question pretty good?
That did. We also have a question. Thank you, Rasheed. We also have a question for Latesha. How did you discover your passion?
Well, this is something that I have been doing since I was 10 years old, and I just recently left the healthcare field as a medical assistant at Swedish to do this full time in March. So it's just something that I've always done, and I just turned it to a business officially.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, I have a question that I want to ask, and this question can be answered from any one of you guys. What was one thing that you wish you knew before you started? Don't all speak at once.
Okay, this is Latesha. What was the question again?
What was one thing that you wish you knew before you started?
I wish I would have known that braiding was going to be this popular because I would have started it a long time ago. Because now it's just like a thing. Like everybody walks around with braids all year round. And instead of pursuing a career in the healthcare field, I would have just did this the whole time.
Nice, nice, nice. Soka, what was one thing that you wish you knew before you started?
Uh, I don't think there is. I see it. Not to be like horny, but I do see it as just everything's part of the journey. I think there are things which I wish obviously that I could have known as for which I think there are things I wish I could have known maybe, but and it just makes you a stronger like entrepreneur. I think if you go through lessons in order to really kind of learn, um, you know, um, but yeah, that I think that's my response to that. So
Nice,
I
nice.
see it
Thank
as
you.
part of the journey.
Can I ask a, a question about the? I'm sorry, it was Soka. The did what made you make the choice to go with overseas creatives as opposed to domestic creatives? Was that a deliberate choice that you had to think long and hard about, or was there some inspiration to that?
Yeah, no, great question. I've always I've always wanted to come up with a business model, uh, which is more of a geared towards social enterprise or like socially conscious business. So I've been inspired by like Warby Parker, their buy one get one model, or their Toms of the world. So I was trying to figure out kind of what impact could I make as far as stationery So it was an intentional model to figure out how to hire creatives virtually. So like in Cambodia, Bangladesh, Vietnam, pay them competitively or pay them more than they would get in their home market. And also, you know, me also make money as a business as well. But it took a while from concept to really connecting the dots about kind of what my business is about.
Nice, nice. Thank you, Soka. Just to let you guys know, we just had Baxter join in. Baxter, how you doing, man? Baxter,
Can
you
you hear
there?
me?
Oh, there
Yep,
you go.
yep.
Yeah, there you go. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. In the field, calling it, wrapping it up a little bit. Almost
Okay,
done.
okay. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate you joining. Could you just give the listeners a little bit about your business and what it is that you do?
Yeah. So I run a landscaping business. Started that in 2019. Started on the side, worked a full-time job, and did that on the weekends until it was ready to completely take over my schedule and pay for everything I needed to, plus extra profits. But I started as, just a side thing and wanted to build that up slowly. And I did that within the next 12 months in 2020. And then by the time 2020 came, I was ready to go full pedal to the metal, as an entrepreneur. So yeah, I mean, we do landscaping, lawn maintenance, tree service. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Could I ask you what prompted you to go into that field? Was it something that you've always had an interest in, or was it something that you picked up a little bit later?
So I just got it as a job when I was younger, and I ended up really liking it, liking being outdoors, connecting with people, bringing joy to people every time I work on their yard and, restore it. They always have a big smile on their face. And after a year or so, I'm like, well, this is easy enough. I can do it on my own. Then I just planned it out and did it. But I learned soon that a lot of times it's easier to be an employee, I'd say. I mean, it just depends on what you're doing, but there's pros and cons to everything. And when you're starting out by yourself, there can be a lot of things that catch you off guard that you have no clue about, like taxes and this and that. So it's good to do your research. Yeah.
That's good. That's actually good to lead me into the next question. We have a couple of questions in the chat, but one of the questions that I thought was really important, and this is for any one of you guys, anybody can answer it. What was one of the expenses that you didn't know about that caught you by surprise?
Well, I'll go since no one else was. So there's different brackets for taxes. And so I found out that being a sole proprietor instead of an LLC, you get taxed the hardest out of anyone. Being a sole proprietor means you own it. You're a single owner. There's no co-owners. There's no co-founders. It's you and everything. So every profit, every dollar that comes in is taxed to you. As an LLC, that money is split between people oftentimes. So you're not getting taxed on 100% of that amount. And I talked to a CPA, which is a tax consultant, and she said sometimes the sole proprietor can get taxed up to 37% on profit. I mean, not even profit, but on income.
Ooh.
So 37%, that's a lot. So
it's a lot. Appreciate it. Anybody else want to take a stab at that question?
I just want to add on to what Baxter just talked about taxes and just I'm just gonna just add in. I wish, like, for me, I wish I had more guidance on that. I wish there was someone in the community, be it mentorship, be it like someone who can speak in very clear language about kind of how that stuff works, LLCs, sole proprietorships, liability, and stuff like that. And I feel like those are things that are set up to kind of put us down, you know, like I feel like we are all entrepreneurs at heart, but there are these things that are systematic as far as trying to kind of keep us down and not be business owners. You know, that stuff is all made up, kind of, you know, it really is, you know, in my opinion. And there should be a more direct way of working with the community to become entrepreneurs, legal entrepreneurs.
So I can totally understand about the business taxes and how confusing it can be. But I want to also dive into what Baxter said about sole proprietor and LLC to understand that. You know, when I refer clients to the legal clinic, they talk about the entity and the purpose of the entity, why one versus the other, right? But the CPA, I always recommend talk to your CPA how you want to set it up. And I'm going to tell you hands down, all majority CPAs want you to form it as an LLC because of the past income, it's what they call it. But an LLC, if you don't, you know, it's like Baxter said, if you're just by yourself and you don't have an employee, it's a benefit. But if you have employees, you're paying W-2s, you're paying taxes. So it almost evens out with a sole proprietor versus an LLC. It just works on a different way. But at the end of the day, the IRS is going to win. That's just how it is. And you just need to know what structure you need to go in to work for you. But you're not going to be able to fight the IRS.
And then can I add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead, for sure.
And then a big key, I don't know whoever's listening, but it all depends on what business you're doing. But another key difference between an LLC and a sole proprietor is a sole proprietorship. You own 100%, and so all responsibility and accountability is on you. If you mess up, you're gonna personally get sued. I mean, you know, not 100%, but if anyone wanted to sue you, they would sue Baxter Patrick by himself. They wouldn't sue the business. But as an LLC, your personal assets, your life, your personal life is separated. Because, yeah. And as an LLC, you know, it's all separate. So, yeah.
Very, very good information. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Baxter. One of the questions that we have in the chat, I think this is a really good one. And I think, actually, I think this will be a great one for Latesha. How are you able to build clientele?
Social media helps me build clientele. I post weekly, sometimes a couple of times out the day, and referrals. That's how I end up building my clientele.
Nice, nice. Rasheed, what about you? How are you able to build clientele?
I'm gonna have to definitely agree with the social media for sure, because my business started off on like social media. You know what I mean? It was all online, but just advertising it through Instagram. But also I have like working with the youth in the past. They all know me, so if they wear it, somebody else is gonna want it, and then it just a domino effect.
Nice. Anybody else want to answer that? Soka, you want to take a look at that one?
Yeah, I agree. Social media, just you know, before COVID, it was a lot easier. For me, I do also direct to consumer. So definitely, I talk to brick and mortars about holding my stationery too as well. So that the in-person touch is super nice.
Can I hear from Baxter? Because I'm working with a lot of landscaping company, and I like to know how you built your clientele, Baxter. Oh, by the way, this is fun.
Okay. Nice to meet you. So really for me, when I was, like I said, I had a first job and, well, not a first job, but a main job, full-time job. So I was just, I was working 7 days a week like I am now, but at that time I was working 5 days for them, 2 days for myself. And then I got laid off because of COVID, and that was nothing but a blessing for me because I had no other option but to advertise for my business and get the word out there. Hey, you know, this, I'm doing this. Here's the services we offer. And it really started with, I mean, I just reached out to people I know, and then I got on the Nextdoor app. That's been humongous. Nextdoor has been amazing. So that was huge. And then, you know, I'm at a house, the neighbor's like, hey, that looks great. They come over and it just, and then our thing is we take pride in communication. If we can't make it, we call, we say, hey, we can't make it. We're going to have to reschedule you. Is that all right with you? Communication is everything. And then behind that, the quality of work just, you know, it just goes hand in hand. So that's really the two things. And then marketing is huge too. Now, just recently, I've started putting out a lot of content on Instagram, just really for fun though, because we're pretty booked up, but I just do it to get the word out there, get the content out there, and give a perspective into a day in the life.
Nice, nice, very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Nice. We're looking good on time. We're good on time.
Yes, please continue. Yes.
Okay. This is a question that I wanted to hear the answer to. How often did you feel like giving up, and what motivates you to continue? Anyone can answer it. I think this is something that everybody's gonna experience. So you can talk about your experiences with that. Anybody can answer it.
I gotta take a second.
Oh, go ahead, Baxter, if you want to.
No, I was just saying I gotta take a second.
Oh, I was going to say, outside of being a business coach, but prior to and even still now being a food business owner, something that helps to keep motivating me to motivate me to keep on going. There's been a couple instances. I operate a perishable food business outside of being a food business coach, and it's a meat business. And long story short, we ended up with 3,000 pounds of product that we spent over $10,000 on. That was no longer able to be sold because we had changed our ingredients. And at the end of the day, I realized there's too much skin in the game. I have too much money in this, and we need to figure out a solution. So that's definitely something that keeps you going, or at least for me, is realizing, okay, I've dedicated so much time and effort, and you don't want it to just go to waste. Any opportunity that you don't try and work towards is a missed opportunity, essentially.
Definitely.
Anybody else want to take a chance at that?
I can say, when I first started, I was like tough. So I had moments where I was thinking like, maybe this isn't what I want to do, or maybe this isn't for me. But I think my motivation was my friends and my family. Those who were like close to me, they kept me going by just motivating me and just saying like, you know, it's only going to go up from here. So that's why I always thought about it, is like, this is really just the beginning. 3 years in, and I'm still like, this is just still the beginning. But it's actually grown so far that I'm like, I'm glad I didn't give up.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll add. Yeah, so I would say there's been some tough moments, definitely. But I wouldn't say there was a moment where it was like, no, there has been where it's like, do I really want to do this? But then I just stay strong, and no, it might rain today, but it might be sunny tomorrow. It might not be, but you know, there's what's the saying? The sunny days wouldn't be so good if it wasn't for rain. So
right.
For every bad day, there's going to be 2 more good days. So you just have to stay strong and keep your head up. And another thing that motivates me is just, you know, people have told me that they find motivation and inspiration in, you know, what I've created. So, you know, I try to show people that you can do more things in life than what you might see in your narrow tunnel right now, like, you know, criminal activities and things. So, you know, there's different routes than what some people might have been shown all the time. And I feel like I'm helping show that you can do something by yourself.
You definitely are. one of the questions just put in the chat, I think it's a very good one. What was something that seemed very daunting, but actually was much simpler than you thought in starting out and running your business? So something that you probably thought like, man, this is going to be really tough. But once you got there, you're like, oh, that was actually pretty easy.
I could most definitely speak. Me converting full time, I was more worried if I was going to have a full schedule because I'm open from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. And the reason why I open up so late because there are people that work 9 to 5, so they'd be able to still get service after work. So my biggest thing was filling the whole schedule up for the whole day because when I was working at the hospital and still braiding hair in the evening, it was easy for me to book just the evening ones because I was doing one head a day. Sometimes I'm doing 5 or 6 heads in one day, depending on the day. So it's just like filling it up.
Latesha, did you start with a crew or was that all you at first?
It was all me at first. So it was just, no, first I started with somebody else when I moved to Seattle because I'm from Ohio. And I was working under somebody, so they'll start and I'll finish. So I was building my clientele because I'm quicker than her. So I had to like figure out ways to fill my schedule. I'm a quick braider. So that was something that I advertised. Like I could do something in 3 or 4 hours that may take 6 people. And sometimes I underballed myself. Like I dropped my prices so low so people could come to me. Like I was doing hair for 120 with hair included. Nobody's doing that right now. Everybody's charging like 185 to 200. So I was lowballing everybody so I could get those clients. And then once they seen how fast I got them in and out, it was on from there.
Very, very nice, very nice. Anybody else? Anybody else? Something that you thought would be very tough, but actually turned out to be a lot easier than you thought.
Yeah, I would say in the early stages, it would be like, I mean, it's basically what she said, just filling up the schedule. But if there's a will, there's a way. It's all about willpower and putting in that effort. And I mean,
did we lose Baxter?
Says he left.
Oh, he might have dropped out of service. I know he was mobile, so he might have dropped out of service. Um, let's I think, how are we looking on time?
You're great. You still have 6 minutes.
Oh, okay. Um, is there any advice that you guys would like to give to the younger generation or anybody who is looking to start their own business or go out on some entrepreneurship endeavors?
Easiest thing I can tell them is take that risk. If you have an idea, just go for it. You won't hurt yourself. And all you're going to do is learn from it. You know what I mean? There's no such thing. We're not going to make any mistakes. What we're going to do is just learn from what we've done and what we can do to make better.
Nice.
I double down on what Rasheed said. I just start. And I used to think of success as a linear path, but that's not the way I think about it any longer. And I guess out of life, you should fail. There's going to be a fail. You can't prevent yourself from failing. And I've used to be always kind of risk adverse, just in everything. But you know, if you fail, if I fail at the stationary wrist, it doesn't make me a loser. You know, I just failed, and I go on to the next thing. So I say just go for it, fail and succeed. Out of X many failures, you're going to succeed at least once.
Right. Absolutely. Anyone else?
I'll say the same thing. Just go ahead and try. Like, if there's like anybody that's willing to do hair, I help anybody out. I shout them out. I share their stuff. If I feel like they're good enough, I also help people. I don't try to take all the money. So I'll just be like, go ahead and do it. And I'll support you and try to help you if you ever need help. I'm here. Just reach out to me. Because I know how it is starting out, especially in a new area where you don't even know anybody. And always have a backup plan.
Nice. That's really good. And that can lead into our final question for you guys. That's a very good segue into our final question. If someone on this chat wanted to get a hold of you and see your work, what is the best way to do so?
Mine is Instagram at Highly Hated Clothing.
Can you repeat that one time for us?
Yeah, the Instagram is at Highly Hated Clothing. No, all spaced out. So Highly Hated and Clothing. But yeah, that's the easiest way to get me.
Okay. Soka, also, you can put it in the chat, but you can also tell us.
Oh yeah, but first thing first, just hit up my brother Vanna. You guys know him, you know. He need any cards for that at birthdays. He's the main guy to hit up. Secondary, I got an IG and website as well. But you know, we're ramping for kind of like this new 2022. Pretty excited for just kind of face-to-face interaction if possible. So
Okay, good. Baxter, you back?
Yep, I'm back. I don't know what happened.
Okay. Yeah, it's all good. But if anybody wanted to get a hold of you or wanted to be able to refer out to your work or anything, what's the best way for them to contact you?
So our Instagram is BP Greenworks 206, and then our website is bpgreenworks.com, where you can get a quote. And yeah, and then one more thing. Today is the last day of Q3, as a matter of fact, for taxes. So that's what I'm going to be going to work on tonight. My taxes for Q3. Yeah.
Nice. Latesha, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you and wanted to, get any of your services, what would be the best way to contact you?
Instagram. So it's Beaute. So it's BEAUTE, PAR, PARTEE. There's a website to actually book your appointment. My phone number is actually on there, and the address is also on the website too.
Can you repeat that? The IG?
BEAUTE, PARTEE.
Okay.
Beauty party.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate all you guys jumping on. I'm pretty sure there's somebody on here that probably heard some information from you that's going to change their lives. Hey, this is what it's all about, and we really appreciate you guys hopping on, and thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us.
All right, guys.
Thank you.